It's Super Bowl week here in Phoenix. Super Bowl 57 to be exact. The Kansas City Chiefs, you like that team? Okay. And the Philadelphia Eagles are here competing. And the good thing about this matchup, Dan, by the way, I'm Gilberto Manzano, can't forget the name.
Stooge.
Sorry. That is Dan and Daygo.
Your boy, you already know what it is. Dan and Daygo's in Arizona. Dan in Arizona, Nomad Dan, whichever one you prefer, Gilberto. I don't have a problem.
And just to kind of, give a quick tip here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get anybody else, so we got Dan and Daygo here.
Oh, this guy. You see the type of negativity I have to deal with? All the listeners, all the people. Look what I have to deal with on your favorite program.
Let me be... I'll pretend to be happy because you're here. No, I'm just kidding. I like you. You are an expert in something called offensive line.
Love talking about Hogs. I've said this time and before on your favorite program. Why these people panic at quarterback, I have no idea. I would take those $300 million or whatever, invest in the 5 guys up front and the front 7 on the other side.
There you go. Danny Daygo, offensive line coach. NFL coach in the making? I can see it. See, nice things about you, Dan. But let's get to the point here. This matchup is intriguing because of the guys up front, the trenches, the ones protecting Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Quality tackles. You go Lane Johnson, Wood. You got Orlando Brown Jr. inside Jason Kelce.
What? Humphrey. What?
Let's start with one of your favorite teams, the Chiefs. What do you like about the Chiefs up front and how they protect Patrick Mahomes?
I think 100% you saw that in the past few years since they won the Super Bowl, especially you saw it a lot against the Bucs. They got They were freaking on his ass all game, and I think that's why you saw the scoreline the way it was. Now they invested in it. You could tell they brought in Orlando Brown. Creed Humphrey was a gem. I think he was a late-round draft pick, started as a rookie, has killed it since. So I've loved that. That's what you always want to do as a GM or owner of a team or whatever you want as a coach. When you want to build your teams in the NFL, again, call me old-fashioned, call me a dinosaur, Gilberto, but I always believe it starts in the trenches.
Okay, now to your other favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And by the way, we saw Jason Kelce recording the podcast, New Heights, with the brother Travis. And you got a brother too, Fernando. So maybe one day you guys could collab together here on Compas on the Beat Network. But Dan, what makes the Eagles offensive line a standout unit there? And what do they do well?
100%. Which, by the way, you already know your brothers, your favorite brothers on this program already have a collab. What's up, Bolts? What are we doing, Gilberto? But that's all right.
Subscribe.
What they do well, this is what they do well, right? I think in my mind, what's the one play that stands out from the NFC Championship, Eagles-Niners, they played an elite front 7. They have Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Armstead. They have a lot of guys. But the play that stands out to me is, one of the first touchdowns, they pull Jason Kelce as almost like a lead-up blocker, like a power play. He doesn't touch anybody, and they score like a 15-yard touchdown. Fred Warner, or I think maybe it was Greenlaw, tried to undercut Jason. He couldn't get around him to make the tackle on one of the Eagles running backs. And I think that tells you a lot about them. That, number one, they're physical up front enough to create so much distance that big old Jason Kelce can pull around and lead up in. And the other thing is they already have a reputation around the league of their physicality, and that's why you see linebackers not want to take them head on and everything else. That to me is freaking poetry in motion. I sent it to all the lads in the chat, in Hog Chat, so it was good.
There you have it. Some people on Twitter or the internet like to pretend they know offensive line or scheme, X's and O's, a bunch of, what do you call them?
Oh, Stooges, blue checkmark brigade. Which one? I got plenty of names.
Dan and Daygo knows offensive line. You are an expert. See, I say nice things about you, but real quick, Dad, what are we going to call it? Hogs Talk with Dan and Daygo, or In the Trenches with Dan and Daygo?
Oh, In the Trenches. I love that. That sounds a lot better. And the other thing I want to say, too, real quick, if you, for anyone out there who wants to watch elite tackle play, watch what Lane Johnson did against, potentially, Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa probably had 0 pressure, 0 hits, 0 sacks, and Jalen Hurts was protected all day. The way he plays against these elite pass rushers is, number one, I always say, for a tackle, you have got to make the defensive player make the first move, and you're going to beat him every time.
There you have it from the expert, coaches, offensive lineman, Dan and Daygo. Should be a good one. Super Bowl 57 in Phoenix. Sunday.
Fly, Eagles, fly.